of Charlie Kirk. Tell us more.
That is correct, Sharon. The US Department of Justice deleted one of its own studies from its website, a study that concluded that far-right extremism had actually killed more Americans than left-wing or radical Islamist extremist attacks. Now, this was first reported by independent technology and internet journalists at 404 Media, but in fact, it was first flagged by Daniel Malmer, a PhD student studying online extremism. Now, he had been monitoring the page when he posted online that he'd found it had been deleted and vanished between, he estimates, the 12th and 13th of September, because the last day it was visible was on the 12th. And it's important to note here that this is just days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. That was on the 10th of September. So a couple of days later, that's when it vanished from the internet. Now, according to Malmer and 404 Media, directly after vanishing off the internet, this was the immediate redirection from the DOJ website, saying the Department of Justice is currently reviewing its website materials in accordance with recent executive orders and related guidance. However, since then, the redirection on the page has actually changed even more. Instead of this paragraph now, there is just one sentence visible. The requested page cannot be found. Now, just if you want to know a little bit more about that vanished study, well, it was titled, "What NIJ, National Institute of Justice, Research Tells Us About Domestic Terrorism." And Sharon, the only place that it is visible now is on an internet archive, the very well-known Wayback Machine.
And Radhika, the timing of all of this is also very interesting. What's also noticeable is that the Scrubbed report seems to directly contradict recent statements made by the Trump administration.
Yes, you could say that, Sharon. The Scrubbed report that was published in January of 2024, it spans 3 decades of research, and it literally opens in this first paragraph with these words. Since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideologically motivated homicides than far-left or radical Islamist extremists, and that includes 227 events that took more than 520 lives. In this same period, far-left extremists committed 42 ideologically motivated attacks that took 78 lives. Now, as you said, this is a stark contrast to the recent comments made by Trump and the Trump administration about the killing of Charlie Kirk. They have pointed fingers openly at what they call left-wing extremism. Trump this week made several statements regarding the left. He said, quote, "The radical left causes tremendous violence and they seem to do it in a bigger way," which, as we just saw from the findings of that study, is directly reverse to what those findings were. And earlier this week, just a couple of days ago, he doubled down on that stance a little bit further. Let's take a listen now exactly to what he said.
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left, that's not the right.